All right, we're here with Colten Montgomery, the 2020 Waco Annual Charity Open champion. First thoughts on the course you've practiced so far and defending your title here?
It is definitely, very similar course to last year. Not much has changed. I do notice that the OB walls are a little bit off of the OB lines, which I think is a little bit different than last year. And obviously, being a defending champion, haven't ever been a defending champion anywhere, definitely comes with some different feelings and obviously some added pressure, but it's going to be a challenge this weekend and I look forward to it. That good?
Yeah, so talk about the pressure. What have you been feeling this week? Is it adrenaline? Is it pressure to perform day one? How are you kind of internalizing that in your practice?
Yeah, I think just pressure to do well. A lot of people sending messages all over the course, like, hey champ, and obviously that's really cool and everything, and I embrace that and a lot of fun, but yeah, I think just a little pressure to go out and do well. But I've kind of been watching some old videos from last year, seeing where my mind and headspace was at that time last year and kind of just trying to get myself back in that mindset for this year.
When you watch those old videos, what do you notice most? I think most people talk about your final 9 holes during that second round and how you played the par 4s. Is that what jumps out to you?
Yeah, no. I watched one actually just a little bit ago, and just one of the main things that I said was, it was the last round that we were going to play in some time last year. So I'm kind of, as weird as it sounds, I'm kind of just going to go one round at a time, just play the first round, not think about anything else. And another thing that I really focused on last year is not what people were doing around me, not worrying about what my card mates were doing, how they were shooting, more or less attacking the course and playing against the course instead of my competitors.
You also didn't know the scores right coming in. Is that something did you continue to do that all of last year? Are you following that up this year, or what's your mind there?
I would say most of the time last year I was putting my phone on airplane mode or it was off. Early in this season, the one event, it's kind of gone in between off and on, but I'll be embracing the airplane mode this week.
All right, Mahmood.
Yeah, Colton, nice talking to you, dude. Last year, so in an interview with Corey Merle, you talked about kind of wanting to prove everyone wrong, prove all the doubters wrong. Why is that important to you this weekend?
I don't know that it's just this weekend. I think all this year, I'll be striving for another, Disc Golf Pro Tour or National Tour major win, just to just kind of prove that I can do it again, because I know deep down that I can, and I know a lot of people discredit that it was not a full 3-round tournament, and I kind of just want to show everyone that I can, and if that's this weekend or if it's anytime this season, I kind of want to show that I can win a full round tournament.
Charlie, Ben?
Hey, yeah, it's Ben from Ultra Row here. Just curious, Colton, what do you think about your game has changed, since Waco last year?
It's hard to pinpoint exactly what's changed. I just feel overall different as a player. I think my game has progressed in all aspects, the putting, the upshots, my finesse game, which is something that's never been a strong suit of mine. I think that's been leveled up. My forehand, I spent a lot of time this offseason working on the forehand, so I think that's leveled up as well. And just mentally, knowing that I can beat the best in the world, I think that's another thing that's definitely changed in this last year.
Hi, Charlie Eisen here, Ulti World. 1 year ago, almost to the day at this point, you win this tournament with the tournament cut short, and then we have a shutdown of sport for multiple months. What can you take us back to what you were thinking about a year ago after winning this event, but then having the uncertainty of what the future was going to look like for the rest of the season?
Yeah, funny that you bring that up, because I actually, in one of the videos that I watched from last year, Corey and I talked about that, And, a year ago, we didn't really know what was going to happen after this. I know Belton was the following tournament, and they were still scheduled to go. It ended up getting canceled. But, last year, the mindset was whatever happens, just continue practicing, because I think that is what I contribute a lot of my success to last year at Waco is, my off-season work, off-season grind, practicing a lot, not taking a bunch of time off. So last year after the final round, that's kind of the mindset as I was, is if the season gets canceled, just get back to practice, and whenever the season gets ready, I'll be ready.
All right, any other questions? All right, I'll follow up with one more with you, Colten. Take us, or as you reflect on winning, as we just talked about, an uncertain season, a shutdown right after that. Is that feeling still fresh in your mind? Can you kind of go back to that moment in any time now, or has it faded and you're ready for the next one?
I mean, I still get the feelings. Of course, I'm ready to move on and get the next one, but. Pulling into Waco for the first time since last year, there was definitely some emotions, like looking at hole 18 and be like, that's like where I threw the final, that awesome tee shot on 18. And, just being my first true big win, I think Waco will always have a special place in my heart, and I'll always get those butterflies and feelings when I come back here. So.
Awesome. Well, best of luck this weekend. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Sorry, one more. Go for it.
So Colton, last year when you won this event, you were the lowest rated player to ever win a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. And of the 5 lowest rated players to ever win a Disc Golf Pro Tour event, 3 of them have been here at Waco at this course, Beast course. What is it about the Beast in particular? What is it about this event that kind of produces these like underdog crazy finishes?
I think it's very scoreable. If you're hitting your lines, I don't think they're holes that are too far for some people to get 2 drives to. If you're hitting your lines, I think most of these holes, even the tough wooded holes, are pretty straightforward, as long as you're hitting your lines, staying on the fairways. I know that's easy to say for a lot of courses, but yeah, I just think that this course is very scoreable, and that's why, people like myself and other lower rated people that have won this event put together some good rounds to take home the cake. So.
All right, anything else for Colten? All right. Thanks, Colten. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it. It's really windy. This is, I think, the biggest challenge this week is going to be managing the wind on these open holes. The wooded holes look great. You can tell that the crew has definitely been putting in a lot of time out there cleaning up the woods line, and yeah, it looks great out here.
So you're fresh off the victory, the close call there in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Getting started with some excitement. How has that propelled you? Obviously, years, but they're kind of a special thing about this year. You in the final round.
Yeah, I think, honestly, every tournament leads you into the next one. No matter how you did, that is the momentum that you're going to be carrying over into the next one. So, yeah, I think going off of Las Vegas and coming out with a win over some nerves coming in there at the end, I think that is going to propel me to channel those feelings coming into an event like this where I know there's lots of OB on the last few holes, lots of wind, and some tight competition.
Does you being from Texas and this being in Texas, does that have special meaning to you, or are you that much of an international superstar now that you just want to win everywhere?
Yeah, I think I do have a lot of very, very fond memories of this course and just being in Texas. I used to play here when it was a Texas 10 event, which probably a lot of you guys haven't even heard of that. But yeah, I was coming here when I was like 12 years old and trying to throw across the Brazos River. And I remember vividly the moment that I finally did that and just the crowd going crazy. And, I was just this young girl from Texas and everybody was cheering me on, saying, if you can throw across the Brazos River, you're going to be a superstar. So, yeah, I have a lot of those memories coming back when I get out here. Yeah, and it feels good to be back.
Awesome. Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Paige. So just like today, I think the SI story came out on you. And in that story, there's a passage that goes, "The Texan with the warm smile, aw shucks aura, and lean 5'5" frame may be the most dominant athlete at any level of any type of golf, ball, disc, you name it, or perhaps even in any individual sport." When you started playing disc golf in Texas, throwing discs across the Brazos River, did you ever think that kind of description would be written about you in Sports Illustrated?
No, definitely not. Definitely not in Sports Illustrated. Definitely not throughout any sport. But, I know that I'm naturally gifted in disc golf, and I know that I work really hard at it. And so I think that propels me to become a very dominant force inside the sport. But, it then went on to talk about my winning percentage, and that's a stat that I did not keep track of. So it's really cool to read something about that in Sports Illustrated where I didn't even give them that information. They went on to look that up, and yeah, I hate losing. I really hate losing. So, it's a very motivating factor when you're coming down the stretch. You have a few holes left. You're racing against time, and you're racing against all the pressure inside. Do I lay this up? Do I go for it? We only have a few holes left. So I love that feeling, and it's been very. I don't have enough words to describe how it's felt over the years to continuously win and win. It's just every event is a restart, and every event just feels like this sigh of relief at the end that I did it. Like, I can still do it, and any of us can. It's just that matter of pushing past the boundaries that we have in our heads.
That's awesome. Well, so just a quick follow-up. Speaking of hating losing, this was the only event last year, and I'm sure you are very well aware of this. This is the only event last year that you did not cash. You took 13th place. How much fire does that light onto you going into this weekend to prove to everyone that last year was not the real Paige Pierce?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of motivation. I know, just from you, Mahmood, and all the press and all the fans or not fans, just talking about that is not me. I am not my failures. I am not my successes. I am just me. And I'm excited to get out there and to prove to everyone that doesn't matter. I'm not still thinking about that. It was in in the middle of a crisis. I was crying on every hole. Like, I don't know where I'm going to live, what I'm going to do. Like, is my family going to be okay? And yeah, I just wasn't even thinking about disc golf. So for people to just like hold on to that so tightly is just funny. But I'm happy that it happened, because it gives us a storyline, and yeah, it gives me a chance to show the world that was not me. And yeah, I'm ready to play.
Thank you, Paige. Charlie, Ben?
Yeah. Hi, Paige. Charlie Eidson, Multi-World. You've talked a lot over the last few years about how one of your primary goals is to reach a 1,000 rating. As of this week, you're 4 points away. You're at 996. Does that add any additional motivation or pressure over this next month or two while that target is very much in sight?
Yes, I think definitely added a lot of pressure, just knowing I'm 4 points away, knowing I need to average over that this weekend if I want that to raise up and not drop. And on a course like this where it's so, I mean, the weather is going to be a huge factor, especially we're seeing rain in the forecast every single day. So yeah, I think that there's some pressure there, knowing I'm on the verge and it's so close within reach. And yeah, I'm going to try to just use it as motivation, though, instead of thinking like I'm nervous. Take those nerves and turn it into a positive, and just call it excitement instead of nerves.
Ben Mahmood, anything else?
Yeah, one more quick question, Paige. So the winner of this event, Evelina Salonen, and the runner-up in this event, Hannah Blomerus, they're both not here this weekend. How does that kind of change the kind of complexion of the field this weekend? And I mean, you've talked before about how much you admire Hannah, particularly in her throwing form. Like, what's that mean to you for them not being here this weekend?
Yeah, I was actually just talking about them about 15 minutes ago, just talking about Kristen and Evelina and Hannah, all three of them, just missing their presence over here. They were all at the memorial as well, and Evelina actually won the memorial as well 2 years ago. So it's definitely a presence that we miss out here, all three of them. And just, you know, I think the level of competition raises as you have more talented players. So, you know, with all three of those girls being in the 960s, obviously that is something that pushes the entire field to play at their best, and definitely missing them. But, you know, it is what it is, and I'm going to have to just focus on who is here and the course.
All right. Anything else for Paige? All right. Paige, best of luck this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paige.
All right, here with Eagle McMahon coming off the victory in the first Disc Golf Pro Tour event of 2021, now at Waco. How is your season feeling so far, man?
I like it so far. You know, getting the win in Vegas, I wouldn't say it takes pressure off the year, but, you know, it at least puts a win in the 2021 stats. And, you know, I'm not going to go without a win this year, and that's a nice thing to say.
Well, I mean, wins were hard to come by last year. We saw a lot of people getting wins and kind of sharing that around. Do you predict that that's kind of going to be the trend for 2021 and going forward, or are you trying to get back to like your 2018 season, for example, and really dominate?
You know, I don't want to speculate. I've always hated making predictions or trying to predict the future. But, you know, the one thing I will say is I won Vegas in 2018, and I had a pretty good year. Won a few other events and a major. So I'm definitely going to be thinking about that moving forward this year.
I think wind has been on a lot of players' minds so far. The conditions are going to maybe get a little nasty out here on the Brazos. How is your game plan affected by that?
I'm really just trying to throw over stable stuff. It was similar to Vegas, so just really trying to put myself in good positions throughout the week. And if I throw a bad shot, try to recover as quickly as possible. I know in the past I've had a few issues with like hole 17 out here, hole 18. So bogeys are okay, but really just try to avoid the doubles and try to recover the best I can from any mistake I come across.
All right, Mahmood.
Yeah, Eagle. So you recently were, you're not given the title, you earned that obviously, but the 1056 rating, highest rated player in the world. There's a really great IG story of you like reacting as you hear the news. How cool is that for you? Like, I mean, you've been playing this game since you were like could walk. Like, how cool is it for you to be now the #1 rated player in the world?
I mean, it's surreal. Starting way back in the day and having like I think my first rating ever was like 756, and now if we take the entire PGA, I have the best rating out of anybody in the world, and that's kind of crazy to think about, but it's rating's just a number, but I think it does symbolize some things. It shows how consistent you are, how much hard work you put in. So to see 1056 is it's super cool to say that I'm #1 right now. I love it.
Charlie, Ben.
Hi, Eagle. Charlie Eisenhood, Multi-World. You take kind of a different approach to the off season. You talked about it a little bit before the All-Star weekend. Not playing much, giving yourself a chance to rest. What would you say you've added to your game over the last year or over the off season that you think is going to help you maintain this #1 spot?
I don't think I'm adding too much to my game from a pure shot perspective. I feel like I have all the same shots that I had last year. But really it's about finding the enjoyment on the course and finding the new ways to cope, whether just learning how to be in the moment a little bit better than in the past. When you get to such a high level, if you take the top 10 players in the world, there's not that much difference between skill from a shot shaping perspective. It all goes, what happens is what happens in between your ears. So it's really just trying to find a happy place and learn it. In the off season, I basically learned tactics in order to cope with bad times and be excited for disc golf. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year.
Hey, Eagle, it's Ben
Eagle, sorry,
from,
real quick, let me. Are we going to see more of the tilt this weekend?
It's a definite possibility. I'm considering throwing it on hole 1, and then in the woods, it's an incredible scramble disc. So, I think you will.
Hey, Eagle, this is Ben Winnica from Multi-World. Last year in the shortened event, I think you finished outside the top 20. In 2018, you didn't play in the event. You've been pretty forthcoming in your opinions on certain courses on tour. What's your opinion of the Beast and how it lays out?
I enjoy this course a lot. The mix between more park style golf, a little bit more open fairways. None of them are really open, but and the holes in the back. The cool thing about this course is we're throwing a lot of shots that you don't really get to throw that much, whether it be a hole number 9, hole number 7. There's some technical shots that are a little bit unique. The best way to kind of describe it, almost feels like you're off the fairway from the tee to a certain extent, so you get a chance to throw some scramble shots, and that's something unique that I enjoy coming to Waco for.
Uh, are we going to see more of the tilt this weekend?
I enjoy coming to Waco for.
Any other questions for Eagle? All right, best of luck this weekend, Eagle. Thank you.
Great, thanks, guys.
One more? No? All right, we're good.
All right,
Thank you.
awesome.
All right, now we welcome in Sarah Hokom to our press conference here, sitting at the 2021 Waco Annual Charity Open. Initial off-the-top impressions of the 2021 version of the event, of the course. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's pretty much the same as it has been. There haven't been any changes outside of maybe some par adjustments from last year. Otherwise, the course is playing the same, and we have the same unpredictable and variable winds, along with a threat of precipitation. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable out here, and it's pretty much the same as it's been for quite a few years.
Does that mean it's the same game plan? I mean, obviously you didn't just make the transition in the bag, but you have sponsor switched in the last most recent time. Does that mean it's the same game plan going in, just minus that unpredictability of the conditions you were mentioning?
My game has evolved over the last couple of years, so I do expect to be a little bit more aggressive on a couple of holes than I have been in the past, and I'm more comfortable throwing some of the backhand requirements out here on both approach shots and off the tee. So probably more like 10% of the shots will be backhands, and I'll be comfortable with that. So my game plan has changed a little bit, and I have a little bit more access to birdies, so I think I could score better than ever.
Any particular holes you're looking at to kind of whip out that new backhand?
3 and 18 will be the primary ones, and then there's several approach shots here on 2, the second shot, and then a couple spots in the woods that I may need to use a backhand and to get up to get the second shot on the pin. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also playing hole 4 more aggressively than normal. I usually lay up on that one, and I found that has not helped me over the years, and I still continuously bogey that hole. So I'm going to lace the sidearm down there and get down there, and we'll see if I'm in the middle. If not, I'll still pitch out and still have a par opportunity. If I get down there, I'll actually be able to get a birdie on that hole.
Awesome. Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Sarah. So Las Vegas, if you had to kind of draw up like a course and a tournament that would be difficult for you, and you've talked about this, it would be like windy, long Las Vegas. And even despite all that, you finished in 6th place, which is like an incredible finish. How much confidence does that give you coming into Waco?
It really gives me a lot of confidence. Wind has always been a struggle for me, and I definitely worked out some things in Vegas that I had not realized that I was doing improperly before. So I do feel like no matter what the wind does out here, it's really not going to, I'm not worried about the wind. I feel like I have a good handle on it, and that I'll be able to execute the shots depending on whatever kind of tail, head, or crosswinds we encounter. Additionally, honestly, with the addition of a more confident backhand, I can make the choice to play whichever shot is favorable for that particular wind, and I think I can pull that stuff out on the fly.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely saw that at Vegas. And kind of one more follow-up. I mean, you've been very close here. You've been near the top almost pretty much every time you play this course. How much would it mean to you to kind of finally take this one down, which is like, especially the woods are so suited to your game, like those tricky, really interesting sidearms.
Yeah, it would mean a lot, as any win would, but again, this one has eluded me for many years, and I've been very close for several years in a row. And being that it's a very fair course, I think it's probably one of the fairest courses we play all year, with the combination of open and windy versus the woods on just 18 holes. So it would really mean a lot to me personally, because it shows that I can really compete, especially when the courses are designed in a fair manner.
I have a quick follow-up to that.
Charlie or Ben?
Yeah, this is Charlie Eisenberg from Ultra World. Just a quick follow-up to that. You were in third last year, but the people that finished ahead of you, Evelina and Henna, aren't going to be here this year. Do you think you should be seen as the front runner going into the weekend?
I think it would be a mistake to count me out.
Fair enough.
It's a shame that the Europeans aren't here, honestly. You know, I mean, every bit of talent we have elevates the entire field. But, I mean, unfortunately, they can't be here. And so, yeah, I think it gives me an extra little bump, and certainly a shot to take the win.
On an alternate note, USDGC announced recently that they're going to be having kind of a follow-up to the Women's National Championship event from last year, the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship, alongside USDGC at Winthrop. Just curious for your thoughts on that tournament.
When they originally announced it last year, I was ecstatic to be able to play a major that year, and I wasn't sure that we were going to get to do it again. And I was really, really happy to see Throw Pink, Sarah Nicholson, pick that event up and turn it into something that could potentially be the pro-only version of this of our major, as the women's side of the sport continues to grow, and we eventually maybe have to split off the amateur and pro divisions for women's nationals. I think this is a great, could be an event that could fill that spot as the women's side continues to grow. So I'm really excited. I mean, it's another step towards having a full women's tour.
Awesome. Ben, anybody else?
Ben, you have any questions?
No, I think you guys covered it. Sniped on that one.
All right. Thanks so much, Sarah. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we are here with Catrina Allen, 10 minutes early. I'm guessing that just means you're ready to play and ready to get this tournament started,
I guess
huh?
so, yeah.
How's the game feeling? Close one in Vegas, but obviously a very high level of performance both out of you and Paige compared to the rest of the field. That's a good start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I pride myself in practice and preparation, so I don't think there'll be a Disc Golf Pro Tour event where I don't put in the work, so I know that I can always put that aside, that I know that's going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely every time I've talked to you, it's always been about the practice and the preparation. Talk a little bit about specifically what that means for this style course and this particular tournament.
So in a course like this, I feel like I kind of like the 9 open holes and 9 wooded holes. The wooded holes, you just have a game plan. The wind kind of goes through there, but not as much. I'm, of course, aware of it, so that might change clubbing up or clubbing down, but you kind of just have to pick a line, and then that's what you're going to go with. So through there, then when you get out here, it's really going to come down to what is the wind doing, and I feel like I showed in Vegas by my stats of staying in bounds. I think I might have been the leader of inbounds, that I know how to handle the wind in the situation and make adjustments.
Speaking of making adjustments, after spending a month in the desert, doing the All-Star weekend, back to Nevada, back to Arizona, what is it like just not playing in dusty, dry conditions? You got a little grass on the course.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't care where we play. I'm just ready to play. It can be open, wooded, warm, cold. I'm ready for what we got.
All right. Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Catrina. So you've talked a lot about your relationship to the Finnish players, how you even took up Finnish, and you're actually pretty good at it. And they're not here this weekend. How bummed are you that you're not going to be able to play with Henna and Evelina on this course?
Pretty bummed. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks that they can't make it over, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the biggest strengths in your game is your ability to kind of throw every shot, sidearm, backhand, whatever, rollers. How does that help you on a course like this where you kind of get put into all these tricky situations so often?
I think that allows me the relief of, I feel like when I throw a bad shot, I already know I'm going to have a look to advance or maybe even save the birdie or par, depending on, which hole we're on. So yeah, that's something that's kind of nice when I'm out practicing, knowing I can maybe take a more aggressive line to get the birdie, because if I'm off the fairway, I still know I can get to this spot to get me, back on track and get a par, with my sidearm or my putter shots or just, I feel like the way I play golf, sometimes I also can be like, okay, I'm just going to pitch out and take maybe the bogey. So, yeah. I feel like this is a course where I definitely get to throw some of my flex sidearms through the trees, through, tiny gaps. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Catrina. Charlie?
Hi, Catrina. Charlie Eisenhood, Old Two World. You finished tied for third last year here. And the two people that finished ahead of you, Evelina and Henna, aren't going to be here. Yeah, I mean, I know you probably feel like you can win anything that you enter, but do you feel like you should be the front runner given your performance here last year?
I don't know. I guess I'm already on this year, so I haven't even thought of it like that, to be honest with you.
All right. How's your putt feeling?
Good, thank you.
Anything you want to elaborate on that? Just
no, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you.
That's it for me.
Okay.
Ben?
Yeah. Hey, Catrina. It's Ben Winnegar from Multi World. You had a really big win last weekend at a beach here. Just kind of curious about, when you're in the last round of an event like that, kind of a tune-up event forward into the series, and you have a big lead, what are you focusing on in the final round? Are you getting extra practice shots off the tee that you just want to, try out in competition for the first time, or what is it that kind of keeps the, competitive attitude going when you have such a big lead like that?
I actually, in that situation, then I'm just kind of enjoying golf. It feels a little bit more. I'm still being respectful to my card mates and still trying my hardest. And no, I actually don't do that. I don't goof off or I don't throw. I just stick with my game plan as if I give the respect to my competitors. And I just play my game and enjoy playing with new girls that I've never played with, and make sure to just treat the round as if I would any round throughout the year, and stay focused on my game plan and working on my mental game and all those things.
Yeah, for sure. And I had a follow-up kind of to one of Mahmoud's questions as well, just about the amount of shots you have in your bag. I am curious, what on the Beast, what is it that, are there any holes out there that you think you do have a distinct advantage on in terms of the rest of the field?
I actually never think like that. I think the second you think you have an advantage or you give your opponent an advantage, everyone messes up, everyone surprises you. So I honestly never step up to a hole thinking I'm going to be the only one who birdies it. Like I said, I stick to my own game, my practice, my preparation, and it sounds crazy, but not thinking of anyone else. I think that's a really waste of energy to do that. I can only throw my shots to my capability, and if I just focus on that and give my energy to that, it seems to be when I play my best.
Yeah, thanks. And I think maybe Mahmoud has another question.
Yeah, Catrina, just really quickly, I know you and Austin are big golf fans. Who do you have in the players this weekend?
You know what, to be honest, I haven't looked at golf this weekend. But my top picks are always, I don't know, I just enjoy watching golf. So, like I said, I'm going to be honest because I am a huge golf fan, but I don't even know where they're playing this weekend.
All right.
I've been busy working out and practicing, cooking dinners.
All right. What's your favorite thing to cook right now? What's the recipe du jour?
So I'm 2 months into the carnivore diet, and I'm addicted to ribeyes and bacon.
All right. Is that the winning dinner if you take this one down?
Oh, yeah. Is that going to be my winning dinner?
Yeah. What's the winning dinner?
Yeah, probably. That was breakfast, ribeye and eggs and bacon. So.
All right. Best of luck this weekend. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
coming in, fixed Jerem's mic, and I didn't know what to do, and it was awful. Everybody was really upset.
Well, we got your mic fixed now,
Right,
and we
good.
have
Check.
Jeremy Koling,
What's up?
two-time Waco Annual Charity Open champion.
Is it twice?
I believe it's twice. You know.
It is. Yeah, it is twice. Holy
How does that feel to be the two-time defending defending not last year, but you are a two-time champion of this event.
Yeah, it feels great. It feels like this is kind of an extension of some place that I should be. It feels familiar. From the first time I came here, I always liked the variety of what the grounds here at the Beast challenges. You know, you have the open stuff and you got the wooded stuff, and I like that.
What do you think about the 2021 edition? Are you keying in on any changes, anything like that? Changes in the course, changes in your game?
There's no real changes in the course. The only thing that's really changed throughout the years is that technically our par is four shots more difficult. A couple par fives are now par fours. A couple of par fours are now par threes. So really it just comes down to, you know, how much do you allow that to affect your game plan? Does that change your aggressive strategies? And I don't think it changes really anything for me. I think it always just comes down to situational stuff of last round, going into last round, knowing like what kind of things you want to do. If you want to be on lead card, if you're in that position, do you attack the dangerous hole 15, you know, hole 18, how aggressive do you get there, and so on and so forth. But if it's windy like it is today, this weekend, and you take a 4 on hole 18, I don't think it feels like a bogey, you know, especially if you're playing the short layup shot. You know, you're doing your best to get there in 3 shots, and that's the same way you're playing a par 4.
Will the potential weather, I mean, we do have, looks like it's going to rain overnight and may continue into the morning and throughout the weekend. Does that change the aggression level that you're going to bring to this course?
No, not at all. If anything, you know, nobody's sitting there in their hotel room the night before the event and just thinking, man, I hope it rains tomorrow. But if anybody might have like a little bit of an advantage in that situation, I think it is a player like myself who leans so heavily on the forehand, just not having to twist and turn my body, and I don't have to pivot my foot. You know, when I plant my foot, I'm just kind of facing forward. And I think that in the long stretch of the event, if it does continue to rain throughout the event, I think the person whose plant foot moves the least, I think has some advantages as far as not slipping. And that's really important when you get in the woods. You know, I mean, if you're not sure about your feet and you're a little bit off your line, you know, there's a lot of trouble to be had over there.
More appetizing for you winning a tournament you've never won before, or coming back and proving that you can continue to dominate at one event or one course?
Well, for this weekend, I'm going to go ahead and say B. You know, let's go ahead and win Waco, and we'll talk about winning a first time some other place. You know, at this point, it would be amazing to win another tour event. You know, I'm on the tail end of my career, and at this point, I've come to realize that if I were to win another big tour event, you know, and that's the plan, that's the goal every weekend. But if that ever happens again, you know, it's like I think I can really appreciate it on a different level, because I'm not trying to grind out wins like I was in the early part of my career. Like, this isn't about that for me anymore. It's about enjoying the sport, about enjoying the camaraderie with me and all my colleagues on tour, about doing commentary. It's about so many other things. And you know, when I do find myself in the mix, it's a different level of appreciation at this point in my career.
Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Jerem. Mahmood out in Milwaukee. One of my favorite shots to watch in disc golf is you throwing the Roadrunner on hole 4. I get excited just when I'm watching you throw that shot. How excited do you get, like, getting ready to throw that shot?
I love that shot because it's like the introduction of the next hour and a half to 2 hours all in the woods. So it's kind of nice because, you know, the first 3 holes you're out in the open and you're working your way into the dark shadows of the beast, and then you get in there and it's like you start off with this 400-something foot par 4 that could feel like the easiest birdie in the world with a good tee shot, but it could also be like a thing of nightmares if you're just a little bit off. And I think having the forehand turnover shot, which really suits that line on that hole really well, as a part of one of my strengths, I do get excited about playing that hole. But that doesn't mean I don't have a healthy fear of it as well. You know, like there's a couple of big trees that are prominent in that landing zone, and if you're off a little bit, it punishes you. And just for note, I actually think I'm going to be throwing an Eagle L there this week instead of the Roadrunner. The Eagle L has just been really fit into my bag for these wooded fairways. I've got a couple different ones at different stabilities at this point, but it's still the same idea. It's the hyzer flip forehand, late turn, and just trying to avoid the big trees in the fairway.
Yeah, that's what everyone's going to be trying to do, hopefully. One last question. This mostly comes from the chat. What information do you have pertaining to the hot dog bandit?
Yeah, of course. I was waiting for this. I thought that would be the first question. The information I have is the same thing you guys have. It's this phenomenon that started off, I guess, at the beginning of the season. And there's some rascally, funny person out there that's going around and putting hot dog stamps in the bottom of people's discs, and nobody seems to know who it is. And it gets funnier and funnier each person that's picked off, because you just don't know who's going to get next. So I've been the number one suspect since the beginning of it, and so it's kind of funny that people are. It's kind of a badge of honor in a way that people are relating that level of humor with me. But yeah, we still don't know who it is, so it's pretty funny.
Thank you, Jerm.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
Best
welcome.
of luck this weekend, Jerm.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Valerie Mandujano.
Yes.
Hey, here with Valerie Mandujano at the 2021 Waco Annual Charity Open. Give us a little bit of your history with this either tournament or this specific course at Brazos East, and what's kind of your history here?
I believe this is my third time of playing it, so I do have some history behind it, but I don't think I've played it that much compared to some of the pros, to be honest. I live 2.5 hours from here, and I feel like I haven't even played it nearly as much as some people. I would love to get some more rounds in, but this tour life is kind of killing me. I have like 3 days, I guess, to have some real practice rounds in. So.
Yeah, and I will ask you about that, but talking about the course now that you're kind of getting to know it a little bit better, what are your impressions of it? What are the first things that stick out as sort of the obstacles to a great round?
Playing par. I feel like if you play par and get the birdies when they come, you'll shoot really well. As long as you don't get too crazy and try to attack the greens or try to bite off more we can chew, I feel like somebody will shoot a really good round.
And you were talking about tour life, and you're sort of getting out onto tour a little more now. Talk a little bit about that experience and kind of learning what that grind is like.
Yeah, I've only been on the road, I think this is 3 weeks now, but I'm learning like the perks and the cons of it, and I feel like playing, like I don't get so much practice rounds in. It's like I get 2 to 3 days of practice rounds and then a day of driving, and then obviously the tournament play. I feel like my muscles are getting tight. I'm getting tired. Things that I didn't really like pay attention to. Instead of playing 2 days, I'm playing 3 to 4 days out of the weekend tournament play, but also having 2 through 3 practice days, which means I'm playing almost 3 rounds a day, 2 rounds a day sometimes. So it takes a huge toll on my body.
Despite that, the Memorial last weekend in between the Disc Golf Pro Tour stops, you had a really strong performance. Any kind of early season, early road touring lessons you're learning from that?
I guess there's going to be a lot of ups and a lot of downs. I think it's more to kind of take my time and not to get too ahead of myself, to enjoy the moments but also learn from them. I felt like Memorial, I had a really good round, and then I had a decent round to follow it up. I just blew up in a round. I just played really bad. And I felt like that was a really learning experience for myself as a player. I didn't have a round that bad in a couple years, and I felt like it was really a humbling round to show, yeah, I'm going to have good ones, but there's also going to be bad ones, and how am I going to recover after those?
Do you feel like you're due for a bounce back after that bad round that you mentioned now? I mean, you are back in the home state of Texas, and, despite maybe not having as many rounds as you'd like on this course, where do you see yourself or where are your goals for finishing this weekend?
I definitely want some redemption. I would like to finish anywhere from top 5. I feel like that would be some really good redemption for myself, considering last week.
Awesome. Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Valerie. First of all, thanks so much for being with us. Your sister, Alexis, who I know you're very close with, she signed with Discraft in the off-season. Did that cause any kind of, rift in the Mandujano household? Was that like a big deal for you guys, or is it just okay? She's throwing another company's discs, but we're still best friends, sisters.
Hello. Not at all. I felt like if anything, it pulled us closer. I felt like it separated us because the longest, it's what sister overshadows which one. I felt like before 2018, me and Alexis had a lot of, this is your season, you're playing really well, and then it was, oh, my season, you're playing really well. And I felt like when one or the other were playing really well, somebody had to say, oh, well, that sister's overshadowing, or that sister's living in the shadow. So I felt like now that me and Alexis are on separate companies, it actually separates us, and it builds, we are building our own image right now. So if anything, I felt like it has got us closer because we're able to help each other build our own image, where she's asking me for advice on what do I think of this line or what do I think about that. And I'm like, yeah, I think that fits you and it fits your style, and it's starting to show how different we actually are.
And that's awesome. That's really cool. You guys are kind of forming those kind of distinct brands and personalities. Speaking of that, in the off season, you did a really fun sibling battle with the McBeths out in, I think it was in Virginia.
Yep.
How much fun was that for you to go out and film that? And I'm pretty sure you guys won, right?
No, we lost by 1 stroke. I felt like it was.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry.
You're fine. It was a lot of fun. In the beginning, I didn't take it too serious, and then John hit the ace, and then Alexis got a spit out for the birdie putt. That's when I started thinking, dang, we got to step it up or we're gonna lose. And right there, I felt like me and Alexis really had some point our history points where she was like, I think you throw this, and I was like, I think you throw that. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the competition and the pressure that Paul puts on after a while. I started to see that he was really serious in the back 9 and the front 9, and I was like, it's time to step up our game or we're gonna lose. And then once we lost, I really realized how much I hate losing. And I was like, yeah, I told him I definitely want a rematch. I have to go back and get a rematch from them.
Awesome. Yeah, that's always the answer they want to hear, right? Don't love winning. You hate losing.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you so much.
I'll follow up on I won't ask you whether you think you or your sister's a better golfer. Who's the better caddy? Because I've seen you both at tournaments, maybe during injury or something where both of you aren't competing. Who's the better caddy for the other?
Oh, I think that's her 100%. Yeah, I feel like we both work very different, and she knows how I work so well. Me, I think I have my own style of this is how I do things, and this is how I feel like they work the best. But she doesn't always agree. Obviously, she's like, nope, my style is my style. If you don't work with it, then hit the road. But she definitely does. She more molds us, and she's like, well, this is how you guys are molded, so I'm going to shape myself into that. And then when we feel like we're getting out of line, she's like, hey, this is the player you are. Stick to it. That's how you have to play. And so I feel like she's 100% is a better caddy than me.
All right, break it down for us. What is the best part of her game, and what would she say is the best part of your game, especially for this kind of course?
I feel like her putting. She putts pretty deadly. I think if she had to say something for me, it'd be driving I think she would say driving.
You think driving, that's going to be the separator for you this weekend to get that top 5?
I hope so.
All right, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
right, here with Chris Dickerson now, entering into your very first Waco Annual Charity Open. Thoughts off the top on this course, this event?
I've seen film of it. It looked like a good course. I got out here and actually got to play it a few times, and, I can confirm it is a good course. It's a fun course. So I'm looking forward to it.
Talk about your game and kind of how you break down the course. What spots are you looking to attack? Any spots you're looking to kind of lay off?
There are a few places I'm going to kind of lay off, especially if the wind picks up in the direction that it has been blowing. 18, probably not going to go for that one. For an eagle on that one. It's been a straight headwind all week. There's a couple more, I can't think of off the top of my head, but a couple more places where I'm going to play safe. But the rest of them, I'm just going to try and get as many birdies as possible.
Any particular shot that you're kind of saying, hey, I got this in the bag and this is going to be really helpful right here?
On this course, especially when you get in the woods, a straight shot. So really looking forward to that.
All right. And, we talked earlier to Colten Montgomery, and, he is the lowest rated player to ever win a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. And then most of the wins from sort of the lower rated part of the pack have come on this course. Mm-hmm. You're obviously not in that situation. You're in the 1050 club right now. Does that put any extra pressure? I mean, not only are you one of many 1050 rated players, but a lot of, some of the lower rated players can keep up out here.
They definitely can. I think I just dropped a 1049.
Oh, did you?
So
brutal.
Ouch. No.
Motivation.
Honestly, so kind of going into that, lower rating players playing better out here. Ratings don't really matter that much whenever it comes to playing. It just depends on who shows up that day, because I think if you're 1,000 rated or above, you have the potential to win any tournament. It just has to be your day, your 2 days, your event. So it really comes down to who practices the way you should and who is, really looking for that win. So this course, any other course, I don't think ratings really matter going into it.
So if I asked you if I could give you one of the two right now, the win or the rating point back to 1050, you'd take the win, right?
Absolutely.
There we go.
If I was rated 1,000, or if you said, you take the win but you drop to 1,000, sure.
All right.
I'd take the win.
Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Chris. This is Mahmood out in Milwaukee. How much do these woods remind you of the woods in Tennessee? Is it the same kind? Are you gonna be throwing like the same kind of shots that you're used to from growing up and playing in Tennessee, or is it a different kind of woods golf?
It's pretty similar actually. This course kind of sets up a little more for the forehand dominant player, so that's really the only difference. So out in Vegas, we had this really cool final round card that had Eagle, McBeth, Wysocki, and Heimberg. All the 1050 rated players, except for at the time you were also in that club. Did you look at those four guys on that lead card and think, gosh, I wish I was at that event, because I know I'd be mixing it up right there with them? Yeah, a little bit. And I think Eagle even mentioned it was great to see all the top players on the card, and he really thought that I should be there with them. So I did kind of miss that. However, looking at the course and how the scores came in and stuff like that, I'm kind of glad I didn't go. It seemed like there was just a lot of birdies out there. So looking at this course, I feel like this course is really well suited for your game in particular, because you have all these different shots and you are really good at that point-to-point putter shot, which is really important on these wooded holes. Do you consider yourself kind of one of the front runners to win this event, even though you haven't been here before? That's kind of hard to say, just because I haven't put together a score round on this course yet. And I mean, with this wind, with the kind of kicks you can get on this course, it's going to vary from round to round. If you can stay in the middle, I think you have a good chance of scoring well and potentially winning, but you never know. If you're off by just a little bit,
from round to round, you could end up, mid of the pack or bottom.
And one last serious question for you, and then I have one less serious question. The wind is supposed to be well up this weekend. How is that going to affect your kind of the game plan that you've had going into these holes this weekend?
It's definitely going to affect it a little bit. I noticed that a little bit today. The wind picked up a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. A few of the holes that are kind of open, they seem like headwind holes. So I'm just going to disc up, kind of move toward an overstable type disc. And even on some of the shorter par threes that are 290 feet or so, I might throw an overstable fairway just to get that consistent flight.
Awesome. And last question, how did Sam do on the drive down here?
The drive down here, he did great. He slept basically the whole ride. He got a little antsy kind of toward the end, maybe 3 hours left, but that was on our second day of driving. But no, overall he did great.
Funny enough, I asked our camera crew the same question, and I got the same answer for our camera guy, Sam, so it was great. I just want to do one follow-up. You said you saw that Eagle mentioned you when he was talking about, the top-rated players in the world. Mm-hmm. I know you're a humble guy, and you've really worked hard to get where you are. What did you think when you saw that, and especially because you were sitting presumably in your living room at home watching over the internet, mm-hmm. that you got a shout-out for not even being at a tournament?
Yeah, that's a great feeling, and especially to be recognized by people that are on the same level as you. So, yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I really felt that coming from somebody, like I said, on the same level.
Awesome. Well, best of luck. Go get it this weekend.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Really felt that right here.
All right, here with Brodie Smith at the 2021 Waco Annual Charity Open. 1 year since your Disc Golf Pro Tour debut. It was a crazy year last year. What are your thoughts right now on all that?
I mean, it's good to be back. It's always fun to play courses after a long time frame because you can kind of see the drastic differences in your game. Unfortunately, the spectators can't be out here again. I know a lot of people are eager to get back out here, but the course looks in great shape. They've been putting in a lot of work. Every practice round I've been out here, the volunteers have been incredible. So I think it's going to be an awesome tournament.
Obviously, you're not new to competitive disc sports, but when you stepped onto this course last year, you were new to the professional competitive disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
As you go through your practice rounds a year later, do you see the course differently? How so? Talk about that evolution.
Yeah, I think golf is one of those sports where if you play smart and play safe, you can score decently well. But there is that big jump in going from just trying not to make any big mistakes and actually trying to score well and shoot birdies out here. That's something that I've been slowly transitioning over the last probably 6 months or so. And by doing that, you're going to have some rounds that you just absolutely blow up because you actually are going for big shots, which if you don't pull off, you're going to make some bogeys and doubles. And I think a course like this is a perfect example of that. Is a lot of these holes you can play smart and kind of throw easy layup shots and just play for the par, or you can be a little bit more aggressive off the tee and go for the birdie or the eagle. And I think that's why you see a lot of score separation out here on a course like this, especially when the wind is up.
Recently 1,000 rated, that's a big milestone. A lot of disc golfers don't hit that ever in their rated career. And based on what you just talked about and, having hit that milestone, where do you see yourself in terms of the development of your pro game and your game generally?
Yeah, I mean, people know the 1,000 rated was like a goal of mine to try to hit in the first year. I wasn't successful in that, but I did do it in a calendar year. So, it's kind of I guess it's still kind of cool. But once I hit 1,000, I don't really care about ratings anymore. It's a nice thing to see the improvement, obviously, but to me, it's more about where I'm finishing in the field. So I'd much rather have the ability of going out and competing for a potential top 10 finish and then miss the cut the next week than finishing like top 25 both weeks by just playing, average golf, I would say. I don't know. That's my thoughts on ratings. It's cool for the 1,000. I'm going to celebrate it with my fans. I'm going to celebrate with the people that really have been motivating me and continue to push me forward. And then once that's done, the ratings don't really matter anymore.
So you're full on ready just to go for broke at this point. You want wins, top fives? What's your
goal?
So
2022 was when I on the calendar. That's when I have circled as far as the year that I thought I'd actually be competitive. The first season obviously was kind of up and down year. It was very difficult to kind of get a sense of where I was still at. And then I felt like I had some momentum going, and then the Lyme disease happened. That knocked me back quite a bit. This season, it's more, I know the disc that I'm throwing. I know all the shots. I actually have a forehand now. I every time I throw a forehand, it doesn't just nose up, go into the woods to the right. So I have all the shots now. It's more about just getting comfortable with the courses, getting comfortable with the competition, and continue to push myself. But 2022 is when I actually have circled in my head of being competitive.
Yeah, you mentioned the Lyme disease. I was going to ask you about the recovery process from that. We saw Ricky Wysocki. He, at this specific event, was kind of the bottom for him and his comeback. Talk about your experience in battling back from that diagnosis.
Yeah, I mean, Lyme disease knocked me out for a month. I literally wasn't able to train, throw, do anything for pretty much a month. I tried to come back at DDO. If you're familiar with the situation there, that was not good. The medicine they have you on makes basically sunlight feel like burning flesh every time you go out in it. So all in all, it was a tough month and a half, 2 months, and it really was a bad time for me because I felt like I was actually figuring stuff out. And then I kind of had to take a big step back. But, I'm blessed to have the doxy and get the medicine and be clear. I don't feel like I have any symptoms still or any flare-ups or anything like that. I jumped on it early and got it treated. And I'm, blessed to luckily have that happen because I know a lot of people go years and years and years without knowing that they actually have Lyme disease, and it causes a lot of problems for people.
100% back, feeling good, ready to go now.
Yeah, everything feels good.
Awesome. Mahmood, what do you got?
Hey, Brodie, this is Mahmood out in the Milwaukee studio. A couple days ago, you tweeted a picture of you with 1,002, your new rating, and it says, "To all the fans and supporters, thank you. To all the haters, time to move the goalpost again." Why was it important for you to acknowledge all the haters out there?
Because it's sports, man. Like, I mean, who wants to watch sports where everyone's nice to each other? I mean, there's haters in every sport. There's people that you want to root for. There's people that you don't want to root for. I think, whether you're rooting for me or you're not rooting for me, it doesn't really matter to me. I think that's just the whole idea. People have favorites. People enjoy teams in the NFL that they like to root for. They hate certain teams. I think there are definitely people I've had conversations with in person that might have misunderstood me for, being loud, which I understand some people don't like the loudness that I am. I'm sorry. That's something that my wife tells me all the time to lower my volume when we're out in public. But it is what it is, man. I mean, if people want to hate on me, that's fine. If anything, it just fuels me. It makes it fun. And if anyone took it the wrong way, then whatever.
Yeah, definitely. So just kind of looking back quickly at Vegas, I think one of the biggest stories of the season that kind of got overshadowed by how great Eagle played was that you very quietly were just a top 25 finisher, and it wasn't like a top 25 where you had one great round at the end. You were just in the top 20 pretty much the whole tournament. How big of a confidence boost was that for you to just be hanging around at the top of the field? It wasn't like you spiked one round. It was just consistently great the whole time. How important is that kind of play to you?
I mean, it's always great to be able to go out there and play against some of the top players. The first round I was able to play with Eagle, who had, I think, the best round that day. And the conditions we played in that morning, this wasn't actually discussed, but the conditions we played in that morning was the worst conditions all week. It was 31 degrees out. Gusts were over 30 miles per hour. And to see him be able to shoot what he did out there and me trying to stay as close as possible, that's a lot of fun. Then later in the tournament, I got to play with Yuli and Kevin Jones, and playing with these guys. I've done a lot off the pro tour, playing with practice rounds and stuff, but it's completely a different environment when you're actually doing it and you're competing. That's what it's all about. It's all about being fun. As far as being overshadowed, I got top 25. I don't think you're going to be talking about top 25 with anyone else. So I don't think it was overshadowed at all. I got to prove that I can finish in the top 10, finish in the top 5, and potentially win a tournament. So until I do so, I don't think, that should be the storyline.
Yeah, for sure. Totally understand that. So, I mean, if you look over, I think it's your right shoulder, there's hole 14 where you hit a big scuba last year on that hole. I can't remember if it's 13, 14, one of those. What ultimate skills do you have that kind of help you at the beast? Because it's such a weird course where you get uncomfortable a lot and you have to throw a lot of weird shots. Does that ultimate background, throwing scoobers, throwing tomahawks, thumbers, all those kind of weird shots, does that help you out here?
Yeah, I'd say scrambling is really the only thing that really translates 100% over from ultimate to disc golf. So the scuba's pretty much the same exact throw. The disc I do it with flies relatively the same. It doesn't have as much glide as a disc does, but the scrambling, just being able to step out and have weird, awkward footing and being comfortable throwing the disc, I'm fine with that. And then also just, a lot of the hyzer flip games, coming from ultimate, everything was thrown on a hyzer pretty much. So having to hyzer flip up some of these shots from 200 feet, 150 feet, that's super, super comfortable for me. And I think scrambling is something that is definitely an advantage I have out on this course.
Awesome. Thank you, Brodie.
Yeah, of course.
Who picked to win the TPC this weekend?
TBC, Rom.
All right. All right. Best of luck this weekend, Brodie. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're here with Heather Young, and as always, I love talking to lefties. So let's talk about lefties at Waco. How does this course set up for the lefty game?
I feel like it's pretty good. I feel like there's a pretty even mix where I can go backhand or sidearm. It's more just what I want to do. 18's scary in a 30-mile-an-hour headwind. Other than that, hole 1's the only one that's really tricky for me, being lefty. It's just everything wants to go OB. But other than that, I like it.
Last year, some ups and downs out here. What did you kind of learn from that performance? And obviously, you had a very long season after that where a lot of other things were learned too. But, specifically for this course, what are some of the things that you're ready to come to the 2021 edition with?
I feel like the biggest things I learned from it were, if you're out of position, don't still try to be aggressive. Accept that you're out of position. Don't put yourself back in bad position trying to be aggressive. And then also, in all the wooded holes, when you're not like within circle 2 for putting, approach so that you get a good putt. It doesn't always have to be right next to the basket. If you have a gap where you're taking a huge risk to get 5 feet away, or you can have a safe approach to 15 feet, do that. It's not worth risking still being far away.
That sounds to me, it sounds like a great game plan, but it also sounds to me like somebody who's very confident in their putt right now. And, obviously we saw you last year and the numbers you put up, but are you better? Are you the same? How do you think about putting? Because like you've said, you lean on that to score well.
Yeah, I would say my putting doesn't feel quite as good right now as it did last year. Part of that may just be called not competing every weekend with it, so I just don't have the same need of it, so I'm just not practicing the same putts as much. But I feel like I'm still making the putts that I need to for the most part. I just need to get my confidence back to where I can make anything. It's not like I can make ones that are easy.
To build up that confidence, how do you build it up and keep it up during a round? Is it just kind of getting off to a good start? Is it positive mental affirmations? What works for you?
I would say it's both of those. I mean, obviously you don't want to miss something early, or that's probably not good for the mental game. Other than that, for me, it's making sure I'm putting myself in positions to have good putts, but then also, like in windy conditions like it is right now, if I'm 60 feet away, don't be super aggressive and leave myself a 25-foot comebacker. It's not worth it. Just play smart so that I'm not creating issues for myself.
Certainly. Mahmood, what do you got for us?
Hey Heather, this is Mahmood out in Milwaukee. So I have a little bit of inside information, sneak peek at the commercial list for tomorrow. And one of the commercials on there is about you, and it's about throwing purple and like all the purple, basically your brand and the whole purple mist of everything you got going on. What's it like having a company behind you like that they're making a commercial like just about you? How cool is that?
It's pretty awesome. I went down to the factory and I did not know that was something they were planning on doing. So it was pretty cool to see them put that much time and thought and effort into doing that.
I want to look at the one tournament that you've played this year. It was like I think it's called the Knoxville, what is it called? The Knoxville something?
Yeah, it's a local Knoxville tournament near where I live.
Yeah, so someone named Macy Walker beat you, and anyone who follows your career knows that Macy Walker is like your number one rival. What are we going to have to do to get Macy Walker out on tour? Because if she's beating you, that means she has to be very good.
She is very good. She's planning on doing maybe like half of the tour stops this year. Next year she's planning on doing it full time, but she's getting married this year, so right now she's just figuring all of that out, and they're figuring out how to make it work.
That's fun. So this course is one of the trickiest on tour. It has a lot of kind of awkward shot shapes. You are one of the players in FPO that's actually really good with the sidearm, and you're really good with the backhand. You got both. How much of an advantage is that out here? And it's, particularly being lefty, you're throwing like your lefty sidearm kind of flies just slightly different than these awkward kind of righty hyzers.
Yeah, I think it's a big advantage having both shots, especially in the woods, and also especially like when it's windy, because you can use more overstable discs in the wind and still have both shots. And then in the woods, I think it's an advantage on a lot of the tee shots, but it's also good for scrambling if you're in bad position, because you can go either way instead of being stuck.
Yeah, definitely. This course and this event doesn't require a ton of distance to win. I know I've talked to you before other events where you've just gone in and said, yeah, I'm probably not going to win this weekend because I don't have the distance. Like, thinking of a Jonesboro or, with some of these other events where you just need that big distance to win. This event, you don't need that. And you've finished really well here several times, or last year you finished well here. Is this an event that you're thinking I can win this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's possible that I could win this event, especially in this wind, because some of the open holes here are still a little long for me to have good birdie looks on, but in the wind it's going to be a lot harder for everybody to be super aggressive. I think control and a good mental game is going to be important, because in this much wind, things are going to happen that weren't what you planned for. So just being able to accept that and work through it, I think, will be a big advantage.
Awesome. Best of luck to you this weekend, Heather.
One quick follow-up on that about your goals this weekend. So you said you could win. Is winning the goal, or do you have something else in mind?
I would say winning is the goal. When you haven't won a big event yet, that's a little harder to know exactly what that means. But I would certainly say a top 5 finish is 100% my goal, and winning is a goal.
Awesome. Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Good job.
Paul McBeth.
All right, Paul, here with Paul McBeth at the 2021 Waco. Lots of good memories on this course from years past, but I know you're a guy that likes to look towards the future, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Tell me about it this year. What's the plan? How's the course laying out? What's your game plan?
Course is exactly the same as previous years. So, I feel like I'm familiar out here. There's very minor changes, like they pulled the wall on hole 1, but haven't really looked into the weather too much on which way the wind is going. We have potential for rain, but I think it was last year, a couple of years ago, it's gone back and forth. We're right here on the river, so it's going to be windy, breezy, but I haven't paid attention if we're ever going to have like a tailwind on 18, so I've got a lot of practice on hole 18 into a headwind. I'm not gonna let that happen again, what happened last year, so got it pretty dialed now.
All right, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You're not thinking about the 18 down at all, past successes, anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, that's not going to help me here. That round, I did everything that I needed to do, so I want to go out there and do that again, but looking back on that's not going to help me. I'm not going to throw, I think very few things have changed since then, but looking at that's not going to help me come out and perform tomorrow.
And I'm going to channel my inner Charlie Eisenhood here for you. Right after the video about you signing the $10 million contract, we saw you in the mix in Vegas in that final super card. And we saw you push really hard and kind of fall out a little bit. When you compare your average finish on tour last year and then you look at the finish at the LVC, Is there anything to read into that, or is that just trying to take a win?
Yeah, I was definitely pushing really hard, especially early in the round. I think I missed one of the first 5 or something like that, and then we stepped up to the little island hole, and I just made a big mistake there. But Eagle was playing great early in the round, so I wasn't able to gain any strokes on him early. And so I knew I'm going to have to keep pushing the whole round. And that little island hole surprised me and kind of shook things up for especially what I was trying to plan to do and push for. But after that, it was just kind of difficult to get in a rhythm, difficult to read the wind after that, because like kind of my game plan just was gone at that point of what I was going to do. I was going to try to birdie, but then the hole after that, the par 4, and then I was like, crap, I really need to eagle it and put it really close. And I just changed the game plan there, and it just kind of fell apart. But yeah, that one I think is hopefully just going to be an outliner. Kind of just gone. I had a 10th place finish last year, and still average third place on all the events. So I can still improve.
Last few years, I feel like I've spoken to you at early season events, be it Vegas, be it Memorial or something like that, and you're always like, there's just one thing about my game that's not there yet, and you tend to go on and figure that out. Is there anything in 2021, or are you feeling totally mid-season ready?
I think putting is definitely the biggest thing that I worked on this offseason. And at Vegas, it wasn't that great. Memorial was a little bit better, especially in the circle. I don't think I have any issues in the circle right now. I did miss a few short ones at Memorial, but I mean that one's so hard. You're in the Open, you're putting. There's wind's a big factor there. Here it's kind of a mix. We get 9 in the woods, 9 in the Open, so it's been a little bit easier to practice dialing that in. And I'm feeling really good with it, feeling good with my drives, feeling good with my game overall. And, just looking forward to coming out here and finishing an event, getting 3 rounds in, and just kind of seeing how it goes.
Given that you birdied every hole out here, or you scored under par at every hole out here, do you feel like you can feast more on the woods or more in the Open?
I think consistently more in the woods. You don't have the wind as a factor as much. It doesn't really swirl through there. You don't really have any wind getting in the way of your shots, making your shot selection change. You're kind of pretty dialed on what you're going to throw. So I think the woods are probably the easier to score on birdie-wise. Out here, there's definitely a lot more opportunities to get eagles and stuff like that. But you're in the wind. You're the what was I trying to say? But anyways, the wind is a lot bigger of a factor out here in the Open, so it kind of changes your game plan a lot and can take away, the shot that you're more comfortable with.
All right, we'll throw it to Mahmood.
Hey Paul, this is Mahmood out in Milwaukee. Just before this event, you announced the Paul McBeth Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about that organization, what you're trying to do with that?
Yeah, the Paul McBeth Foundation, that's something that's been in the works for quite a while now. I've had the idea for a long time, and I know a lot of people that we have on our board have had a similar vision. And now just happened to be the time that we could actually get all the people together and put this plan, in motion, and it came together a lot faster than we anticipated. We were actually planning for 2022, but everyone just came together, and it just was perfect, the timing and everything. So, but yeah, the whole goal of the Paul McBeth Foundation is to grow the sport of disc golf. In other countries, in more city type environments, places that don't have disc golf but should have disc golf, and just kind of help the growth of the game and installing courses and getting maybe even job opportunities, in the sense of we need someone to run these courses when we start installing them. Yeah, it was a huge accomplishment and a huge goal that I've had my entire career. So to be able to, and then having it at the Paul McBeth Foundation, that wasn't my intention. That was just what the board and everyone thought would be the best. So to have it under my name is just it's an amazing feeling.
Build a course on the south side of Chicago, so I have somewhere to play.
Build a course on the south side of Chicago.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's definitely somewhere we're looking.
One more quick question. One more quick question. So I remember at this tournament last year pretty vividly, the lead card going into that second day, which was the final day, was kind of not really firing on all cylinders, and it kind of seemed like you were just going to run away with it. and then Colten throws this incredible back nine, and all of a sudden you're in second place going into 18, and obviously you're not able to come back and complete the comeback. How much have you thought about that finish since then, and how much of a fire does that light under you going into this weekend to try and kind of claim this title that you were pretty much on the verge of winning last year?
Yeah, I've definitely gone over to 18 and thrown a whole bunch because I want to at least have an opportunity to at least try to make a putt and tie, or at least have a closer look than I did last year. So I've definitely gone over there and practiced 18 a lot more than I have previously. But as far as the fire, I was leading after the first round. I know I can be leading this tournament. Now I just need to do it after 3 rounds. So, yeah, last year's kind of, we had it canceled. We had the whole COVID pandemic hit immediately during this tournament and just kind of shut everything down. So it was a interesting feeling to have everything just running normal, and then all of a sudden nobody's allowed here. So now I'm kind of used to it now at this point of not having fans and having people watch from the fences out here at the park. So not any added motivation because of last year, but I have motivation because it's a tournament, especially a pro tour.
Awesome, thank you, Paul. Charlie Eisenhood from All Two Worlds here. Charlie, you have any questions?
I picked up in the middle of this, so hopefully I don't ask a question that was already asked. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Charlie.
Quick question, just to follow up on the foundation. It's obviously got a ton of people really excited. How will you measure success for the Paul McBeth Foundation? And what are some of the things that you're hoping to do in the first year here?
Success overall would probably be a sustainability and being able to install these courses and have them actually running and having people playing them and learning about disc golf, and just being able to have the opportunity that I had, getting into disc golf, having a course near me, learning about the sport, being able to play, and the second part of that question was what would be success, and I think launching it already is a success, but being able to install these courses and be there for at least the first project, and just installing that first course is what I'd find successful, especially this early in the first year. So first year success, installing disc golf, long term, just sustainability and allowing these to actually prosper and just give opportunity to people that have never had the opportunity to play disc golf or learn about disc golf. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Charlie, follow up? You good?
Thank you. I don't have anything else. Good.
Okay. I just have one follow-up kind of on what Charlie said. You talked about proximity of courses and of course, Huntington Beach, your home course. Speak to that importance briefly of having a course in such close proximity in order to have that opportunity that you're talking about.
Yeah, I had a course about 5 minutes from my house, so I was able to go there after school every day. I think some of these courses that we install, I want near cities, to where, close proximity to a huge population of the U.S. or other countries around it, and close to cities as close as possible. And I also want to just give opportunities to. I know one place we're looking at right now is what is it called? It's just troubled youth, and being able to give them something to do, stay out of trouble, because I think that's what disc golf really helped me, was staying out of trouble, and having something to look forward to every day, and that was just going out and throwing the disc and eventually competing with it. So I think that's one thing that we're looking for in our first project, but I think it's a big deal.
How much would it mean to you if one day, maybe in your career span, maybe just after, if you had somebody coming off of one of those courses that you're able to install, coming on and saying, hey, I'm competing now for a Pro Tour win just like you?
That's the dream. That would be incredible. I wrote that down as one of my goals, is to just one day, hopefully I can be playing against that person, that came from a Paul McBeth Foundation course. That would be an ultimate dream, and maybe if I'm retired, I would just come back and be able to play on that card. So yeah, it would be a dream come true for sure.
Awesome. Well, best of luck this weekend, and we'll see you out there.
All right. Thank you.
All right, now here we are with the tour director and CEO of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Jeff Spring. We're back in Waco. This event now starting under the Phase 1 policy, kind of how it ended under the what would become a Phase 1 policy last year. What are your thoughts a year later coming back to this event?
Yeah, it's been a wild ride this year for the sport, for the tour. We've grown a lot, seen a lot of success, and so it's a little surreal to be back where we suspended the tour for about like 3 months last year. So I'm looking forward to the event. I'm crossing my fingers that we'll get all 3 rounds in this year.
Yeah, very interesting, especially given that the governor of Texas just opened up the or removed the mask mandate, we should say. Still chose to keep it as a Phase 1 event in the COVID policy of the Pro Tour. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of elaborate on the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, we saw that as a bigger reason to keep it Phase 1, actually. The first priority of the Pro Tour and the PDGA through our collaborative Elite Series COVID policy is to make sure that no matter what your belief or concern regarding COVID, whether that's a high concern or a low concern, you feel comfortable at one of our events knowing that you aren't necessarily putting yourself at risk. Obviously, we're out here playing, but golf is still open across the entire country. And we try to run our Phase 1 events in a manner in which everybody playing can have their space and feel comfortable. So, with the Texas governor's decision, I think that was, more of a reason to ensure that Phase 1 stayed in place, to make sure that there's no spectators who think that because they're on site they don't have to wear a mask, or they can get close to any competitor, staff, media, volunteers that may have a different perception of what the risk is and what their comfort level is.
We're seeing a lot more, switching gears a little bit here, we're seeing a lot more banners, a lot of companies getting involved with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. The courses are getting more and more dressed up and decorated. Talk about the growth that you've seen as you've managed the tour through a very difficult 2020 season and where we are.
Yeah, I mean, we're about 3 times bigger in terms of like staff and budget than we were last year, and that's feeling barely adequate. Like, we're growing very fast, and we have a lot of partners coming on board to support that growth. We have a lot of subscribers to the Disc Golf Network to support that growth, and that's the best way, if you're a fan, to show your support, is to become a subscriber of the Disc Golf Network and tell your friends. Our team has grown also, not just media, not just operations, but also on the business end of things. Our partnerships director, Sean Jack, has brought on a lot more partners, as you've mentioned, and we've got a lot more waiting in the wings. We basically are looking to create new placements and new avenues to put our new potential partners in. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot more scale up and dressing of the course, and I think that's a good thing. And we're trying to be very thoughtful about how to go about that and kind of crawl before we walk and walk before we run. So we're excited. I think the courses will only look more professional, and we're really trying to avoid kind of splattering things everywhere, but be thoughtful in our approach to making the course look professional.
Awesome. Mahmood, do you have anything?
I'm going to defer to Charlie on this one. Charlie?
Hi, Jeff. Charlie Eisenhood, Ulti World Disc Golf.
Hey, Charlie.
What is the timeline for moving to Phase 2? I ask that because you're seeing other sports, including indoor professional sports, starting to have people in stadiums, including in Texas. And, pretty many of the baseball stadiums are going to have fans in some capacity starting on opening day in April. Given that disc golf is played outdoors, and if you maintain social distance, it's a pretty low-risk situation. And restrictions are starting to ease in states around the country. When do you say, okay, we're ready to go to Phase 2?
Yeah, great question. So our COVID-19 policy is really based around timing. So 6 weeks out of an event, we confirm, that we're moving forward into a final phase of planning that allows for ordering to happen and not, waste money in case we have to cancel it. I think, as you point out, that's really, we're looking very good. Like, I don't see any cancellations coming. But I mentioned that because then the other timeline is the 2 weeks out point, and that's when we decide to phase. We found that that's that's hard for events for like that need to plan long term, but it's also better than trying to switch things up when COVID changes at the last, kind of 6 weeks, because we've seen spikes and declines happen on a week-to-week basis. So that's why we go every 2 weeks before we designate the phase. Right now, we just designated Texas State's a Phase 1 event. That was a coordinated effort with the Texas State's team. Texas State's is an NT, but the Disc Golf Pro Tour is helping manage the NT COVID policy. So that may be our last Phase 1 event, potentially. We are looking at potentially moving to Phase 2 for the Arkansas swing. We have 2 events in Arkansas. But we won't make that decision until we get 2 weeks out of the Vintage Open or 2 weeks out of the Jonesboro Open. And then, of course, we're already thinking about the DDO, which comes right on the heels of Jonesboro, and I think Mid-America is in between there. So I would say, I can't say for sure, but I would expect us to start moving into Phase 2. Phase 2 is limited spectators that we manage actually in a pod system where we have groups of spectators that are, kind of escorted around the course by volunteers and smaller groups. And I feel very, very confident that we can execute that, safely. I think our main concern is making sure that we have parameters in place, make sure that we get our feet wet with this season with our new staff, and make sure that we're able to execute, kind of a responsible introduction of spectators. So that's kind of where we're at, Charlie.
Got it. Are you nervous at all about the reintroduction of spectators? I mean, you've now, kind of your first full year on tour last year, you had a lot fewer things to worry about in some ways. Just execute the event, make sure the players are there and safe, and then do the media. Having spectators requires a lot more focus at the event. Is that a concern at all?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Actually, it's not. I can't wait to have spectators back. I'm really excited to have spectators back, and as I mentioned, I'm very confident in our Phase 2 spectator policy that all of our events are looking at and planning for, which is 2 weeks out, we'll announce spectators. It's going to be a ticketed system. We've introduced a unified ticketing system to all of our event TDs. That's going to go through the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So we're going to know, who's coming. There's going to be no day of arrivals. You have to pre-buy your tickets, and then we'll have kind of like our staff and volunteers, kind of check people in, move them through the course. And actually, what this has done, the pandemic has, we have put into place a lot of planning on scaling up the event sites and spectator experience. So, when we hit 2022, I think it's going to be a brand new age of spectating in disc golf, at least at Pro Tour events.
Great. That's all I got.
All right. Any final thoughts on the course? I know you did a course walkthrough today with the staff. How's it looking? How are you feeling about the competition that starts tomorrow?
Yeah, course is looking good. The wind is up. It's tailwind on the back 9 holes and headwind, as I'm sure you guys have discussed with players already. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully we can avoid the worst of the weather. But I think that this course brings in a lot more potential winners, as we saw through the years with a variance of ratings winning this event, and we've talked about that. So it's going to be thrilling. I think it's going to be a great competition. I would say that in terms of the course, everything looks good. We used to have a wall on 1, and I don't know if players have mentioned that or not, but now it's just an OB line. So 1 on the green may play a little different. If people get rollaways, they're not going to be stopped by a wall and kept in bounds. That's one thing to watch at home each day. I think we'll see a couple of different results there. But no, I mean, this is an exciting course, especially because of the ending. 17 and 18 are thrilling to watch. So I'm looking forward to being a spectator myself, and seeing how this plays out. Of course, administering the tournament, but I'm hoping that we really kind of get into the groove of the season now that we kind of have had a week off, and I think our team's really ready to roll.
All right. Well, best of luck, and hope everything runs smooth.
Thanks, guys.